about our session for today. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. In today's session, this is our second session in the semester. In today's session, we will address challenges that postgraduate students face in writing their pieces, whether it was like longer pieces of uh, essays or longer submissions or even shorter submissions. Um, to shed more light on this topic, we have today Ms. Rabia Khatoon. Ms. Rabia is with us, is working at English Language Institute in King AbdulAziz University. She has completed her Bachelor in Education as well as her Master's in Language and Linguistics. Currently, she's on her journey, her PhD journey. Wishing her all the best. She has conducted so many talks, workshops, nationally and internationally, as someone who's very committed to professional development. So drawing on her experience as a writing teacher, as well as her experience as PhD students, Ms. Rabia today will share some tips on English academic writing for postgraduate students.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Soha. I'm so glad being here. Good evening, everyone. So my name is Rabia, and I'm happy to welcome you to this workshop on, comprehensive tips on academic English writing. And today we will explore strategies to improve the writing skills and to make it more effective, structured, and of course, we will learn about how to structure an article, requirements of the paper writing, and we will discuss some of the mistakes or errors students or writers tend to commit. Let's move on to our objectives. So the key objectives of our session are simple but essential. So first of all, we will have a brief description of academic writing. Then we are aiming to develop writing strategies, learn practical improvement techniques, as well as how to apply them through engaging activities. So these objectives, I'm sure, and I'm rooting for it, that those will help you take step forward in your academic writing journey. Let's move on. So first of all, let's talk about the characteristics of academic writing. Is my voice clear, Dr. Soha? Am I audible?
Yes, all clear. For me, it's all clear.
Okay, thank you. So the first characteristic of academic writing is it is always formal and it has an objective tone. It needs to be formal because it's being written for an audience. The target audiences are going to be your peers, fellow researchers, people who are reading your papers, and of course yourself. So it should have objective as well as theme which it is sticking to. Then your academic writing should be evidence-based argument, since it needs to be backed by proper argumentation and evidence to prove your point of view and to appeal the readers, to the logic of your paper or your piece of writing, your essay or whatever you have written. It must have clarity, coherence, and precision to convey the message, loud and clear through writing, so that the reader is aware of the background as well as the relevance of your writing to their, body of knowledge. And as an example, let's look at few of the examples so that we know what we are talking about. So these are like minor, so short examples, and then we will continue with the planning and structuring of the writing skills. So the first sentence that we have in front of us is, this paper talks about how tech is cool in education. So it sounds pretty informal. Does it look like academic level kind of sentence? And if you are reading it through, can you please highlight what is wrong with this sentence? You can you send in the message via chat box? Like, I'm not sure if the audiences can send the message.
Yes, please, if, you can send your answers either through the chatting box, or if you wish to use your mic, feel free to do so.
Lovely. Okay, so as we have an informal sample in front of us, so what we can gather from here is the language itself is very casual, it's not academic, it's not formal, and it's like the terminologies that have been used here, the words which are used here are like layman language, like cool, right? And it doesn't have, it's not a high sounding sentence, but if we modify it according to the academic writing standards, it should be something like this. So it should be like, the study examines the impact of technology on educational resources or educational outcomes. So two of these sentences are poles apart, as the first one is very casual, like we speak in our conversation, and the second one is very formal, academic literary style. Okay, let's move on to planning and structuring your writing. Planning is, as you know, the foundation of its own distinct characteristics, right? Without it, you may lose clarity and you won't have a good structure. Think like how to outline your ideas before you begin to write, and organize those ideas logically into sections, such as pre-writing, drafting, revising, and proofreading. So we follow this series of steps to structure a piece of writing. So pre-writing stage basically deals with your planning before you implement it. It might want you to choose and think about a topic, then brainstorm ideas for that. You can do mind mapping in the pre-writing stage. Then once you are done with that planning phase, you can draft your initial ideas into paragraphs, probably rough paragraphs, and then you can sort those out according to the relevance to the theme. Then you revise it. You do first draft, then second draft, depending upon the corrections which are being made by you, your friends, or your teacher. Revise it again and again, then you proofread it for any mistakes or any errors which are related to language, structure itself. Okay, so these four steps are being pursued throughout the structure of writing a piece of writing. So the common structure is like when we talk about the simple essay, we have three sections in an essay. It's an introduction, then body, and conclusion. We have already done so many workshops related to this. But if we talk about research papers, we have introduction, methods, results, and discussion. And in between, we have to cover a larger body of knowledge precisely and cohesively to be understood by the readers themselves. When we are writing, we should write clear and effective sentences because they keep the readers engaged, and we should always aim for simplicity without losing meaning, right? So first of all, when appropriate, use active voice. Sometimes we tend to use passive voice, even though it sounds very poetic, but use active voice when it's needed. Second, second measure that we need to adopt is avoid unnecessary words or overly complex sentences to make writing more, concise and simple, so that your writing is direct and understandable. For instance, um, yeah, you have a sentence in front of you, and this sentence has some errors in it. What are the issues related to this sentence? You are more than welcome to send in your suggestions and your ideas related to the sentence, like what might be the issues here. The sentence itself is the results of the study clearly and obviously show that students who study harder do way better than those who don't put in much effort at all. It's a correct sentence, by the way, but there's something wrong with this. Can anyone figure out what's wrong with this sentence? I'll give you some time, okay? Right, so let's find out the key issues. Let's do the work together. Okay, so the first issue is the language is very informal, right? We could use some academic, more formal, high-sounding words. Then it's quite wordy, and there's redundancy, or like the words like we have excessive words. Like we could redo the structure of the sentence to make it concise and coherent. Then we have lack of specificity. Like we don't have an evidence here. The language is vague. It's unclear what the writer is trying to argue. So we can rewrite the sentence and we can say the results indicate that students who dedicate more time to studying achieve significantly higher academic performance compared to those who invest minimal effort. So you can see the difference. The words that are chosen in the second sample are more academic, as well as we don't have vague words. The words are very specific. You are more than welcome to open your mic if you want to say something, or you can send in a message. I'm not sure because when I joined it before, I didn't have option to open my mic, or I couldn't send the chat like when I was in an audience. Um, let's.
I'll check with that. Thank you for bringing that up. I'll check that. Check
Thank
the
you.
settings and make sure everyone have the access to use the mic and the chat box.
Thank you so much. So we have rewritten the sentence using more specific language as well as formal expression to improve the writing quality. Let's move on to an activity. So we will look at a sample where the written sentences are poorly worded, and we will identify issues such as wordiness, informal tone, or unclear meaning, and we need to reimagine how to improve the sentence. Yes, let's have a look. You have the sample. Lovely. Chats are available now. Please send in your message implying the mistakes in this sentence. Now, what do you think is wrong with this? Lots of people think that technology is super helpful for learning, but others don't agree at all. Yes, Miss Fatima. Do you want to say something? Okay, what's wrong with this sentence? Tell me. Yes, Sarah, you're right. It's informal. Lovely. And we have, yes, absolutely. It looks very, very layman kind of language. How do we fix it? The choice of word, yeah, it's shaky. It's very unacademic. It's very informal. How do we fix it? Can you suggest some more appropriate words to be used instead of these informal words? Okay, let's give it a try. All right, thank you, Sophia. So they mentioned that we need to replace super with very. Absolutely. Super looks like very fun kind of word, but in spoken language. Um, any other suggestion? Lots with many, absolutely. Many could be replaced with numerous or majority instead of lots of. Lovely, lovely. That's good. Okay, let's have a look at the, yeah, there is another one. Okay, the first one is figured out. We have informal words, either the word choices like awful. There is this second example. The participants were like totally confused by the instructions. So the experiment didn't work very well. So what's wrong with this sentence? Does it look academic? Does it look informal? How does it look like? Is it does it fall to the same category as the first sentence? Yeah, it's unclear, absolutely. It's informal, you're right. And we are using a lot of words here, right? It's a lot of words without any far ending conclusions. So we can see that the two sentences are not fine in academic writing, but we can say those sentences while conversing with our friends or our peers. Absolutely. It sounds more of a spoken than written sentence. Absolutely, you're right. Let's have a look at a sample. It's a paragraph with errors, and we want to have a look at these errors, and we need to find out why it's not properly academic and what can be done to fix it. Please have a look. I'll give you some time, and then we will come back. We will highlight the errors, and we will fix it together. Yes, so what are the possible errors in this sample? We could say that we have some grammar issues here, like verb form issues, right? We have some subject verb agreement issues here. Like in the first sentence, Brown highlight. So Brown is a person. It's a singular person. So we are not using like proper form of the verb to go with this subject. Moving on, the contractions are misused. In academic writing, we don't use contractions. We use the full form of the words. Like in second line, according to her findings, students who are. So it's apostrophe that has been used, so it's contracted form. So it should be avoided. Then word choice error. Words are not very academic, and there's repetition of words going on. Now, can you figure out which words are repeated and how we can replace those words with more academic words. Yes, can you figure out the repeated words and subject verb agreement and word choice error here? If you want, you can open your mics also, okay? Or you can just simply send the message. Yes, absolutely. Highlight is repeated. So if you want to replace this word, what words would you suggest? We have like, pool of words we can choose amongst that list of words to replace repeated words. Like, yeah, absolutely. It's a good word. Underscored. Absolutely. Anyone else who would want to give another word for highlight? Let's have a look at the corrected version. Yes. So as we can see, the first mistake was highlight, and it has to be done properly, like subject verb agreement. So it's highlights. Importance of motivation in language learning. So the word conducting in the first sentence was wrong. It was verb issue. It was conducted by. Yes, thank you, Ms. Safiya pointed that. So the second sentence, according to her findings, students who are motivated, so who are is given in the full form, are more likely to succeed. However, other studies like those of Roberts emphasize emphasize the role of consistent practice in acquiring new languages. So we use the word emphasize. We could also use point out, or underscored, or we have like multiple other words that we can use instead of highlight. Let's move on to the academic vocabulary and tone. So that leads us to the tone of the vocabulary. So we should avoid informal language and cliches. We should use transition words for coherence, like however, therefore, then, also. We have multiple words to use as transitions. We use transition to bring in that unity amongst, the evidence and, you know, all the details provided within a paragraph and in an essay, in a piece of writing. We should avoid language for cautious claims. Like, we should not make high-sounding claims when we are writing academic papers. Why? Because nothing is absolute, nothing is certain. So you are in the process of finding out something. So you are not supposed to say that this proves. Don't write this proves as if you are sure about it. You need to change the word expression to be like more careful and less assertive. For instance, we have used the word disproves. Yes. Yeah, this indicates, yes, Ms. Dua, it's a good choice of word. We need to be very careful with the word choice. So what else we can use instead of proves? We have amazing word choices. Like, if we go through the dictionary, we can find multiple words. Suggests, absolutely. Suggest is more. It's a very humble word. It tells us that the person is walking through a process. They are not absolute sure, but they're trying to figure out. So we can say this suggests. Yes, it's a good choice. Let's move on. Now we have informal versus formal vocabulary. So in front of you, we have three informal words, vocabulary items. Then we have the formal vocabulary replacements. and we have some examples here. Please have a look, take your time. So we can replace a lot of with many, numerous, multiple, right? And many more words. The informal sentences, a lot of studies were done, numerous studies were conducted. Instead of using get, yes, do you want to say something, Miss Reen? Since you raised your hand, you can surely send the message, like, if you want to. So instead of using the word get, we can use obtain or receive instead. You can get info from the survey. So see, we are using the word info instead of information. So if you're using it in a more formal way, we can say we can obtain information from the survey. Big can be replaced by large or significant. Let's practice some words, okay? So we have 5 words in front of us, and I'm pretty sure that we will have many options thrown by the audience. So what can you use instead of show, stuff, fix, good, cool? The words are correct, but these are very informal words. Which words would you want to replace words with? Yes, Ms. Shazia, you can use exhibits instead of using show. Please send in your suggestion. We would love to hear from you. Absolutely. Stuff can be replaced by the word material. Absolutely. Demonstrate is a good word. It's a high sounding word to replace show. What else? How about the words fix and good and cool? Yes, show is reveal. See, we have reveal, we have exhibit, we have demonstrate, we have indicate, suggest. Prefix can be replaced by the word reform. Absolutely. Thank you. Anything else? How about good and cool? Those sure are cool words, by the way. Yes, Ms. Safia. Excellent. Yeah, it's a good word. You can replace good with excellent. And marvelous. Well done. Yes, let's have a look. I totally agree with the words that are being given by the participants, and I'm so happy that you people are participating, in the general understanding of word knowledge. High quality, absolutely. Good could be high quality. Let's have a look. So we can use demonstrate, indicate. This is just a suggestion, okay? So you can use your own words, but these are sample words. Cool could be impressive, innovative. Good could be advantageous, beneficial, excellent. Then fix could be reform, resolve, address, right? So it shows that we can replace the simple informal words with the more formal and academic words. Let's move on. Now, if you're writing a paper, since our bigger goal is to write academic papers, we all would want to venture on this journey after when you are doing postgraduate studies. You want to write your proposal, you want to write your thesis, assignments, you want to publish somewhere. When you're writing a paper, there are certain sections that you need to follow through. The first one is, as you know, it's abstract. It should be concise. It's the summary of your study. It should not be very long, maximum 250 words, depending upon the requirements. Then you write introduction related to the research problem, objectives, and significance of your study. Literature review. You synthesize everything that has been done before. You don't summarize, but synthesize. Then you talk about methodology, what instruments you have used, how you have collected your data, and how you are going to analyze that data. Then the results with clear charts, tables, and labels, it should be clearly presented. Discussion where you interpret your findings, you discuss according to the objectives you have defined before. And now we will look at the sample example abstract only, not the entire paper. I wish we could do that. But while doing it, what we want to do is we want to look at the academic aspect of the language and how we can use the multiple sources to achieve that dream. Now, this is a sample abstract. Please have a look and find out what's going on here. It's a short abstract related to a study related to TBLT on writing performance. The first part is we'll break it down, but have a look. Now, if we break it down, the first part talks about the purpose statement, which defines the objective of your research. So the objective is to investigate the impact of TBLT on students' writing performance in ABC, whatever, right? So it's precise, it's short, not wordy. The second part of the abstract is your focus. Where is your focus going? Is it metaphors? Is it collocations? Is it, paragraph structure? What kind of writing area you are focusing on? Okay. Then you find out the methodology that you are applying in your paper or thesis or whatever you're writing. So if it's a qualitative, quantitative research, if you're using mixed method research design, the number of participants are being defined now, that the type of instruments you are using, like interviews, surveys, writing samples, observations, notes. So you are going to briefly describe the research design and participants and how you're going to implement that research design. Again, it's summarized form, it's not detailed. Then the fourth part of your abstract was the results. So summarize the main finding of the result, like whether TBLT was good, has it improved the use of collocations, what was the overall writing proficiency as compared to those taught through traditional teaching methods. And then at the end of your abstract should be what is the contribution to the field of research, why you have made this effort to conduct this significant research and how it's going to impact the society as a whole. And then we will find the recommendations for the future research. You can give directions for further study. So once you're writing it all, you need to be very specific what you are aiming for. In academic writing, you should focus on the citation style also. Your supervisors, your teachers might have instructed you again and off and on, again and again, and they are very particular about citation and referencing style. The citations are very important, and why those are important? Because they help you to avoid plagiarism. And these are proof of your research that you have worked through, you have read previous studies, and you know what you're doing. So proper references shows that you have academic integrity and you have strength in your arguments. And there are common styles like APA, we have MLA, Chicago, EDC. Right? We have multiple citation and referencing styles. Then we will look at the samples like in-text citation, references, as well as how we can use the citations in the quotation style directly, as well as within the text in paraphrasing. For instance, the in-text citation is something like this. If you are paraphrasing the person's research, So you would say, according to ABC, in Fala year 2030 or 2020 or 2021, this thing was effective for students' writing skills. But if you are directly quoting something, you need to mention it in the inverted commas, as well as you need to put in the page number, right, as it's done in front of you. You're quoting the person, then you're using the inverted commas, and at the end you have given the page number. When you're doing the reference entry at the end of your, the research, if you are referencing a book, there is a certain style you need to follow. We are looking at APA 7th edition style. You have other styles also, but let's have a look at APA. So the book, when you mention the book, it's the author's name and then the year of publication, then the name of the book, which is in italics, and then it's followed by the press which has published it, and then of course the DOI. If you're referencing a journal article, it could be the name. It should be the name. Last name, then initial, then the year, then the name of the article, then the name of the journal, it should be in italics, then the issue number, volume number, the page numbers, and the DOI. Let's practice it, okay? Sample activity. You are going to create a citation from a given source. So we have the name of the author, we have the year of publication, then we have the title of the journal, the volume number, the issue number, the page number, and the DOI. So it's all imaginary, okay? Nothing is real here, but we are using it just to create citation. Yeah, so how you're going to change, because it's a journal article, so are you going to put in the full name like this, Sarah Smith, or you are going to change something about it? So yeah, please. So are we going to use the first name and last name for the reference APA citation? Yes, we will add the last name Smith, followed by the initials only. Initial is, yes, absolutely lovely, Smith S. Then we will proceed with the year of publication. Is it going to be like as is, or we are going to use it within parentheses? It's within the bracket, isn't it? Then proceeding to the year, we will add the, yes, we will add the title of the chapter or the article. Then we will add the journal name. So which one would be in italics? Is it going to be the article's name or the journal's name? Lovely. So yes, Mariam, it's journal's name, which is going to be in italics. Then proceeding to volume number and issue number, and then the page number and DOI. So we need to introduce all these factors into the APA style citation. Why? Because it's good to do that. It's the correct way to do it. So we have the sample citation, Smith S. 2030, Understanding Baking Cookies, Journal of ABC, then the volume and issue and all the good stuff. Yeah, so once you're done with your writing process, you want to edit and proofread, okay? Why are those important? Editing and proofreading. Why should we do editing and proofreading? I'm throwing this question to my audience. Absolutely, to check the mistakes, yeah, to be sure that what you have created is correct, understandable, and readable. It's a crucial final step. So editing and proofreading is done when you are done with your writing process and you want to present it to someone to get it checked, to publish it, okay? You must always review your work multiple times. You could read it aloud if you are doing it alone. Yeah. And if you want to see the mistakes, to correct the mistakes, you should have editing done like in person. You could also take help of your fellow researchers or your friends or your peers. You could go for your teacher's assessment. Ask your teacher or professor, your supervisor. Tell them like, I need your help with the editing and proofreading. What could be done to improve it? Um, when you're doing editing and proofreading, you go for grammar, you go for structure and flow. Additionally, you need to look at the kind of language you're using, and it may expand to some other areas as well, like theories that you want to include or summarize or give in detail. It depends upon the viability of that particular theory to your piece of writing. When you're self-editing, you can read out loud, you can take breaks before reviewing, you can convert it. So whenever I'm writing, it's my personal practice. Whenever I do writing, we do it on MS Word. I convert it into PDF and I imagine as if I'm my supervisor and I'm checking someone else's work. So I read it in PDF. It's very clear in PDF. Somehow I feel it's very clear. You might have a different experience with, how you do the editing process. We can use tools like, we have different AI tools which you can use, like Grammarly is mostly used by students, Hemingway editor is there. We have some other, with the AI innovation, we have multiple sources to go for this process. But let's do it very smartly, okay? Then proceeding to when you are facing writing challenges, how you can overcome those challenges. Number one is writer's block. Okay, sometimes you are stuck with an idea or with a section of your writing, and you want to have a way out of that. So what you can do is you can set small goals, free write for ideas. You can do something else, take a break, eat something, go outside for a walk. You need to have that fresh input into fresh intake of the ideas from. And if you are sitting still in front of the screen and you are facing existential crisis, as in terms of my own experience, I always prefer to have a break. Then time management. You must manage your time according to the urgency of your writing. You need to have a writing schedule, okay? And you can have a set period in the day, like in 24 hours. Uh, just look for the time which suits you best. Like for me, I always write late at night because it's quiet and I feel happy and relaxed. When do you write? Like I must ask you, um, when do you feel the most at ease during the day to write? There are people who love writing in the morning or in the daytime. I don't know. People go to cafes to sit in a very good ambiance and they write there. But when it comes to me, I write at night, late at night. I don't listen to music. Some people like listening to music when they're writing, isn't it? Whatever suits them. So Dua writes when everyone sleeps or in a quiet cafe, before Fajr prayer, lovely, during afternoon. See, we have our time, we have our body clocks, and the clocks suits to our productivity. And whichever time suits you, please sit and write. That is your golden time to write and focus on things that you want to accomplish. Then language barriers are there. These are very common in when you are L2 user of the language. For that purpose, um, um, for that purpose, read academic papers. You can have vocabulary tools. Yes, Miss Reem, it's a good question. It's a very good question. We can throw it to the audience also. Can we use the AI tools? Is it allowed or not? Yes, absolutely. There are some tools, if they are being used, use it smartly. Use it as if you are depending on your own understanding and your own brain, your own creativity. Yes, Dua has mentioned that we should use it ethically. There are some ethics involved when you're using AI. Not overuse it. I always tell my students, yeah, we are using these tools to help ourselves, but they should not overcome and overshadow our own creativity. And of course, you paraphrase. And we have multiple tools, by the way, very authentic tools. We will have a bit of the mention. Yeah, you should have, like, for if you are writing, you are a student, set up a writing schedule. That works best for you. For instance, if I'm planning to write or read for writing for 2 hours a day, 2 hours a day, or 4 hours a day, I should be hoping to stick to that schedule. If not 4 hours, at least I would be reading for 3 hours or 1.5 hour. Something is better than nothing. There are writing tools and resources. For instance, we have Grammarly to check for style and grammar. We have EndNote, Menlaser for referencing tools. These are very reliable tools. For vocabulary building, we have academic word lists from different sources. With the advent of AI and technology, we have thousands of sources. You can go for all the reliable sources. You can ask your supervisor or people who are already using it, what works best for them. Um, Key takeaways from today's is academic writing requires practice, precision. We need to have formal tools. We should apply rules strictly, and we should seek feedback rigorously. Basically, to wrap up, remember the key points. Practice regularly. You can take a break, of course. You need to have that mental vacation, but stick to your goals. Follow a clear structure, cite your sources properly, send feedback, ask your supervisors and your friends to evaluate your work, and never ever skip your editing process. And thank you very much for your time, your patience, and your attention. I'm really glad that I have this amazing audience. You gave me your feedback. Please feel free to contact me. My email is in front of you. I would be happy to interact. And if you need something, just you can email me related to this session.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rabia. Well, as you promised, it was very comprehensive talk on approaching academic writing. Definitely useful for postgraduate students. We've got less than 10 minutes, and we're going to use this time for sharing ideas, discussing your questions. So if anyone of our audience tonight has questions, please feel free to share it, type it down there, and we'll have, Ms. Rabi, of course, will address it. While we wait for audience questions, I've got a question for you, Ms. Rabia. Um, what do you think, like going back to the section where you talked about proofreading, and you suggested a few tips on how to accomplish revising and proofreading the editing and proofreading the paper. Um, I, I usually encourage my postgraduate students to read for one another. And sometimes I feel the resistance on their part on the basis that we're all students, we all make mistakes. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. And someone who has extensive experience, mashallah, like someone like you, as you mentioned, you have given us a perspective to proofreading and editing. While you are doing it yourself, please ask. Everybody should have a circle, a community who are supportive. Surround yourself with people who have a goal like yours. And what peer evaluation or peer analysis do to the writing, it is one of the best technique to do is to ask your friends to have their intake or input regarding your writing style and what kind of improvements you want to make. Probably have a session, one on one, get some coffee and sit and read together. What I did while I was writing with my supervisor, and I asked her if she can ask someone to have a third eye. She gave it to her students. So we were on the same level. So we did it together. Anyone who wants to give their opinion on how we can improve the editing and proofreading process? You're welcome.
I mean, yes, if like sometimes you approach people even to ask them to highlight the stuff or the parts or the sentences that are unclear. That would give you a perspective as a writer. And definitely you might try rewriting or presenting the idea in a different way, change bits and pieces, things about the sentence that probably change the fact that it's unclear to someone.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Soha. It's very helpful. The tips you are giving these are helpful tips. Ms. Nawaf wants to say in citation, can you repeat what we can do? Okay, let's have a look at in-text citation. So when you're doing in-text citation, if you're paraphrasing someone's work, if you're using it in the beginning, for instance, ABC did this Fala work in 2030, you write their name outside the parentheses, then you use the year in the brackets, then followed by the paraphrase of what you want to cite from them. But if you want to do the direct quote, you add the name and the year, and you use inverted commas to take the direct quotation from that person's work, the same word they have mentioned, along with the page number they have used. Also, if you are citing someone's work by the end of the sentence, you do the paraphrasing and you use the name with the year in bracket, in parentheses altogether. I should have mentioned it. I didn't. I forgot to mention it here. So this is how you do in-text citation. If the same reference is cited twice, you can probably use a transition. Like sometimes we need to add a transition. Additionally, for instance, ABC had said something about writing, and then they proceed on saying how collocations can impact improvement in writing process. So you mentioned they're writing what they have mentioned, and then additionally, they mentioned that this collocational part can improve this aspect of writing style. This I did it, and it worked for me. You can also add transitions. Any other ideas? Dr. Soha, you want to add something?
Um, well, use if the same reference is cited twice, that's absolutely fine. But it depends, like one after another, or after you cited, like in between. If you have in between other references cited, that would make a difference. If there are some references cited in between, then you would do the same process again, because presumably the reader has like probably forgotten like what that reference or who's that person is. But if right, well, it depends. Like if you're using the same reference in one paragraph, right? Like consequently, like in that case, probably you wanna change like um, like make some changes to probably combine ideas. So it's just like hard for me to say without missing an example. And for that instance, for that question, I would invite you to write an example of what you mean in the evaluation form, and definitely we can address that again in our workshops if you wish.
Thank you,
And
Dr. Bilal. Thank you so much.
thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Rabia. I think we are approaching the end of today's session. I just want to say that by the end of end of February, we're having research writing festival. Where we will have a number of presenters, speakers who will address different sections of writing a thesis or research paper. So if you are interested, keep following, keep checking our website. We will announce soon about the event. And definitely, if you leave your questions from today's session in the evaluation form, we will address those on that day. Right. So just before Blackboard